There's a kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being alone. It comes from being surrounded by people and still feeling invisible. And some people know this feeling better than anyone. Not because they're cold, not because they don't care, but because somewhere along the way, connection started feeling more exhausting than being alone. If you've ever wanted someone to text you first, but then felt relief when they didn't, this is about you. Imagine this. You're lying in bed at night. Your phone is right next to you. You're thinking about a person, a friend, someone you used to be close to, and part of you wants to reach out. You even open the chat. You start typing, and then you delete it. Not because you don't miss them, but because you don't know how to explain why you disappeared in the first place. You don't know how to bridge the distance without having to explain the distance. So you close the app, put your phone face down, and convince yourself you're fine being alone, but you're not fine. You're just tired. Psychology explains this pattern, and it's more common than most people realize. It happens when emotional closeness becomes mentally linked to pain. Not immediately, not suddenly. It builds slowly, through experiences that taught you that opening up leads to disappointment, that being vulnerable means getting hurt, that needing someone means giving them the power to let you down. And once your brain learns that lesson, it starts protecting you from connection, even when connection is exactly what you need. Some people develop this pattern because they were betrayed by the people they trusted most. They were once open, warm, the kind of person who answered every message, who showed up for people, who wore their heart on the outside, and then someone made them feel like that openness was a mistake. They were mocked for being sensitive, ignored when they needed support, left alone in moments they thought someone would stay. After that kind of pain, the brain doesn't just hurt, it learns. It starts treating closeness like a threat. So now, even when they meet someone good, even when the connection feels real, there's a part of them already waiting for it to fall apart. They pull away before they can be left. They go quiet before they can be ignored. They end things before things end them. Not because they don't care, because they care too much, and they've already paid the price for caring. Others became this way not from betrayal, but from exhaustion. They were always the one who held everything together. The strong one, the reliable one, the person everyone came to but nobody thought to check on. They never learned how to receive support because support was never offered, so they stopped expecting it. They convinced themselves they didn't need it. And slowly, the words "I'm fine" became less of a reassurance and more of a wall. Now, even when they're falling apart, they won't ask for help. Not because they're proud, but because asking feels foreign, like trying to speak a language they were never taught. And then there are people who aren't avoiding connection because of pain. They're avoiding it because of depth. Small talk drains them. Surface level conversations feel like a waste of time. They don't want to talk about the weather. They want to talk about what keeps you awake at 3 in the morning, what shaped you, what you're secretly afraid of. And because that kind of conversation is rare, because most social interactions feel shallow and performative, they'd rather be alone than sit in a room full of people and still feel completely unseen. They're not antisocial, they're just unwilling to perform. There's another layer to this that psychology doesn't talk about enough. Highly perceptive people, people who are emotionally sensitive and deeply observant, they process social interactions differently. They notice things others miss. The slight change in someone's tone, the pause that was a little too long, the smile that didn't quite reach the eyes. And while that awareness can be a gift, it's also exhausting because every interaction comes with mental commentary. Every conversation gets replayed afterward. Every awkward moment loops in their mind for days. So eventually, avoiding people starts to feel like self-care, like protecting their own mental energy, like choosing peace over the emotional cost of socializing. But here's what nobody tells them. Isolation is not the same as healing. And here's the cruelest part of this pattern. The people who avoid connection the most are often the ones who think about it the most. They imagine what it would feel like to have a friendship where they don't have to explain themselves. A relationship where silence isn't awkward. A conversation where they can say exactly what they mean without editing themselves, without worrying about being too much. They want that deeply, quietly, constantly, but fear gets in the way. Overthinking gets in the way. The memory of every time they tried and it didn't work gets in the way. So they wait and hope and pull away and wonder why nobody stays close enough to notice. If this is you, there's something important you need to hear. You are not broken. You are not too complicated. You are not someone who is meant to be alone. You are someone who got hurt while trying to connect. Someone who learned to protect themselves in the only way they knew how. Someone who stopped trusting connection because connection stopped being safe. And that makes complete sense, but psychology also tells us this. The nervous system can learn new patterns, not through forcing yourself to be social, not through pretending the fear isn't there, but through slowly, carefully letting the right people in, people who don't make you explain your silence, people who don't punish you for needing space, people who make you feel like connection doesn't have to be painful. Because here's the truth. You don't need 100 people. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You just need one place, one person, one friendship, one relationship where you can finally exhale, where you don't have to perform, where you don't have to protect yourself, where you can just exist. And that kind of connection is still possible for you even now.